Hello and welcome to the Simplifiers Podcast, where we take topics in business and in life and simplify them. Now, friends, this topic seems to come up over and over and over again, and I have been waiting for just the right person to bring onto the podcast to talk about it. Bum, bum, bum. It's sales, folks. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe my dear friend Jenny Shee had recommended this gal to the podcast, and I just can't wait to share her with you guys and with the world. Her name is Kendrick Shope, and she's the creator of the leading sales training for women entrepreneurs, Sales School, and the Authentic Selling Process, which has created millions, you guys, millions of dollars in revenue and new business for her clients. Kendrick hosts her own podcast and TV show called Sell Like a Woman, reaching nearly 100,000 followers in 6 continents. Kendrick's work has been featured on The Steve Harvey Show, NBC, Forbes, Inc., and so many more places. I'd like to welcome to the Simplifiers Podcast today, Kendrick Shope. Hey, Kendrick.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, Kendrick, I love your style. I've seen a few of your videos. You just make me giggle because you are so authentic in how you show up and do your thing in the world. So let me just break it down for you. The very first time I saw you, and I don't know if it was Jenny who recommended me or not, somebody else as well, you were like doing your makeup, you had your hair up in a towel, and you're like, let's talk about sales, girls, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just how you roll, right?
It is. It's actually one of my favorite analogies. I did it yesterday on Instagram because, as you build your face, for those of us who build a face in the morning, it takes, for me anyway, it takes a lot of steps. Your moisturizer, your foundation, and I equate that to building a business. You have your business foundations, and then you add some marketing, and then you try some stuff, and oops, it may have gotten makeup all over your face, and it may not have worked, so you have to erase it. And so it really is a great analogy. And then as you get closer to the end, you're putting on maybe just the finishing touches, like your mascara, and your business sort of comes together like you build your makeup in the morning, if makeup's your thing. So yeah, I do that quite often. I also do another one where we walk through all the different steps in selling. And as I put my makeup on, so prospecting is step number 1. And so that would be your moisturizer. And step number 2 is engagement. That would be your foundation. And so it's a really good analogy.
Well, and what I like about that is the second I saw you in these videos, because a lot of people these days, I think there's this feeling like, oh my God, it has to be all perfect. Everything is perfect and everything's filtered, and let's just have the right angle for my chin. And the reality is I think people are just like, you know what? I don't know about that. I want something that feels a little bit more authentic, real, and truthful. So, Kendrick, let's spend the next 25 minutes and really talk about sales and talk about how to sell with authenticity in a simple, practical way. First and foremost, what is it behind the fear of selling for women?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I talk a lot to women. I know a lot of your audience is female as well, but really there are men who experience this same fear, and it's twofold. One is innate in us. Believe that or not, it is innate in us. And it comes from fear of rejection, fear of not belonging. It is as basic as anything in our body. And the other part is, number one, we've all got a rotten sales story, right? We've all been bullied into something or had buyer's remorse or made to feel like we need a shower after somebody sold us. And we have this desire not to make people feel like that. But the other part of that is it dates back to the 1800s when there were traveling salesmen, and they were mainly men, and they would roll into town and they would say, I've got this bottle of elixir to sell you. And whatever you want to feel more beautiful, you want to be more confident, this little miracle bottle is going to make you feel that way. And it worked. And the traveling salesman rolled out of town, and the next day people felt like death because it was alcohol. And so there was this distrust of salespeople that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. So it's actually pretty in depth.
And I think it is. Like, I think about, I've had the used car salesman, moment where people were just pushy and slimy, and you just felt, ugh, gross. And that's it, is that fear of being like that or being seen like that with your peers, with your clients, with people you don't even know, strangers, and all of that. So before we dive into this, I actually want to back up and I want to learn more about you. So how did you become the sales maven in your life? Like where is your career taking you over the years?
I wish I could say that I was brilliant and every step I took, I knew it was leading me here, but the fact is it's a lot of wrong turns. But the simple answer to your question is I worked for 3 Fortune 500 companies and was a top producing sales rep for all 3. I graduated from 2 corporate sales schools, top of my class. Yes, that's a thing. And after I had my daughter, I realized that, I tell her that the magic word in our house is believe. And I tell her and told her, even before she could understand what I was saying, you can be anything you want in this world. All you have to do is believe. And I one night I was rocking her to sleep. It was 8 or 9 years ago. And I realized this little girl is going to one day understand what mommy is saying. And she's going to say, Mommy, did you want to sell drugs for a living? Because I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. So I sold the legal kind of drug.
Yeah.
And I was going to have to look at her and say, no, actually, everything mommy's told you is a lie. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't make my dreams come true. And so, like many of your listeners, I'm sure it was sort of this epiphany. And I remember bursting into our bedroom door, and I'm pretty dramatic, and saying to my husband, I am living a lie. And he's so used to my drama that he didn't even look up from the TV. True story.
Yeah.
And I said, no, Blake, you need to pay attention because I don't know where this journey is taking me. But I have to be the role model for this little girl that dreams can come true. And I'm on a mission to figure it out. And that led to a lot of wrong turns. It led to, but wrong is not the right word because I do believe every step I took, it's not airy fairy. Like I can see how every step I took actually connected me to this. So I got trained to be a life coach. Life coaching changed my life. Martha Beck changed my life. But I was a bad life coach. I was. I wanted to tell people, do this, do this, do this. Now go forth and change your life.
Yeah.
People don't like to be told what to do.
Not so much.
And so, to make a very long story short, Jenny Shee, who you referenced at the top of the show, said to me, we were in a mastermind together. We weren't super close at this point. We just knew of each other. And she said, sweetheart, you're doing the wrong thing. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, you need to be teaching sales. And I was like, oh, I got away from that. And then Marie Forleo said to me, Kendrick, you're a natural born saleswoman. And I was like, I got away from that.
Yeah.
But Jenny actually helped me put my first offer together. And I saw that actually this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. I can change lives and I can do selling my way and show my girl that dreams come true and that you can be on the Steve Harvey show and you can have a book and you can, no matter where you're from, no matter what age you are. So that's the not so short answer.
But I think that's it. Like, I think when you realize, and this is for all the business owners, like when you realize what your particular zone of genius is, like you don't have to know all the things, you just have to know a little bit of thing really, really well, right? When you understand what your zone of genius is, then it's like, oh, well, I can help thousands of people around the world with that. And it sounds like you've honed into it. But it also sounds like it kind of took a little bit of a mindset shift to go like, sales is not this sleazy thing. It can actually be something quite powerful. So what did it take for you to reframe the word sales in your mind in a healthier light?
Well, what's interesting about that is I shouldn't say never, but I didn't conduct myself as a sales rep. I wasn't a top performing sales rep because I didn't do the sleazy things. I refused to do them. I had a manager tell me one time, Kendrick, you're not selling unless you've been thrown out of an office. And I remember saying, my mama didn't teach me to get thrown out of offices. Like if that's what you're looking for, you got the wrong person.
Right.
But what I am going to be is the only person doctors let back when they start shutting their doors to reps.
That's right. So,
but it took a mindset shift to see, number one, that people wanted this or needed this. So I did if you back up just a little bit, Jenny Shee in that same mastermind posted a post and her post was basically, I'm doing okay with closing sales calls, but I think I could do better. Can anybody recommend a sales book? Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? I'm happy to jump on the phone with you. And 90 minutes later, that's when she said, you're doing the wrong thing. I was too close to it. I said, I don't know what you mean. Doesn't everyone know this?
Yeah.
So I had done it for so long, I couldn't even see the system. So it wasn't a mindset shift necessarily from I didn't think that I wanted to sell anymore, but I never thought about teaching selling because I thought everybody knew the stuff that I knew.
Well, maybe that's the lesson inside that is that, if you are listening to this episode and trying to figure out what your business is going to be about, like start asking people, do a little bit of market research, talk to your closest peers, your people that know and trust and respect you. And, you might be surprised at like, oh, actually, Kendrick, your thing is this. And then you go, oh, duh,
Yeah, and it's a really good exercise. So I tell people in sales school, like when you come through sales school, you need to know exactly who you help and how you help them. But sometimes there's doubt, right? Like sometimes people think they know and then they get in and you know how that goes.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, ask yourself this question. If somebody put up on a board, I need help with X, what would you instantly say? Oh, I can help with that. I can help with that. I can hop on and give you some tips because that could be and was for me the sign that, you know what? I know more than I think I know. And then what Jenny is great at is distilling down the process and saying, this is what you helped me with. This is what you helped me with. This is what you helped me with. And I was like, oh. The other thing I did was I read a lot of sales books. So when I decided I'm going to teach selling and I'm going to create my own sales process, I went back to Sales 101 and I read all these sales books. And I remember telling a friend, this is not my proudest moment, I'm so angry because I could have written these. I know all this stuff. And she said, how about a mindset shift there? How about rather than being angry that you could have written these, how about holy cow, I have so much to give because I know this stuff.
So talk to us about your 6 foundations of authentic selling. Can you break it down for us in a real simple, practical way then?
Oh, that is my, you're speaking music, playing music to my ears. Let me tell you, I'm all about tangible and simple.
Yeah.
So, the first foundation of authentic selling is create a raving fan with every interaction. And what people may be thinking, or you may be thinking if you're listening is, well, that's not rocket science. And here's the thing about selling. It's not rocket science.
It isn't. It's just relationship building, really is what it is.
Yeah, at its core. So create a raving fan with every interaction. And people say, great, that's a theory. How do I do that? Well, I'll tell you what, when I get my Starbucks cup of coffee every morning, and I do every morning get my Starbucks cup of coffee, I drive 15 minutes out of my way to get, maybe 10, to get this coffee from this Starbucks. Because they know my name, because they compliment me, because they usually write little love notes on my Starbucks Starbucks cup. Because when I was on the Steve Harvey show, I walked in and they were like, oh my gosh, everybody, this woman's famous. Like they developed a relationship. I wasn't famous, but they developed a relationship with me, right? Yes. And so I am a raving fan. Create a raving fan with every interaction. Number 2, do the common things uncommonly well. Again, it's more than a cup of coffee. So, in our industry, people send autoresponders and they send, hey, your appointment with Mary is tomorrow at 4:00. Okay. How could you maybe change that? How could you do the common things uncommonly well? Find something and be known for it. Bob Berg is a sales expert and he's been around. I learned from Bob Berg as a pharma rep, and he talks about giving, selling being an act of giving. And he does the common things uncommonly well. He sends handwritten notes. So I don't care what you do some common things uncommonly well. If you only do that, you'll stand out.
That is
because people don't do the common things.
Yeah. I mean, we're big believers in handwritten letters over here, thoughtful little details, Yeah. It doesn't have to be big, grandiose things, but I think when you remember and remind people that you work with, your clients, that you are human and you are so thoughtful on the little details, that stands out huge. It's not about blasting it out with a megaphone. It's about touching in the little points. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. Number 3, and I think that this is I have found that this is super important for our industry, for, people who are copywriters or web designers or even wedding professionals. A lot of your audience is belief. Now, here's the thing with belief. Most people are like, I got this, check. I believe in myself. I quit my corporate job. I believe in myself, but that's only half the battle. Like G.I. Joe says, that's only half the battle.
Yeah.
The other half is you have to believe in the difference that your products or services make. And a lot of people don't. And I'll tell you how you know. And this is a really gross question. And I have to be really, really intent here on people hearing what I say.
Yeah.
I would never, ever, not once suggest that you use this to sell your customers because it's a gross question. But if you want to know if you're really sold on your product or service, answer this question for yourself. Why would my customers consider going into debt to buy my product or service? Oh, Kendrick, I don't like debt. Oh, Kendrick, nope, you don't get to do that in this exercise because it's just an exercise. We're never going to use it to sell, I promise you. But if you can't say this will change your experience with your wedding, this will change your customer's experience, it will make you money, it will increase your joy in your life, of course you would go into debt to yourself. Then you're not sold. You don't believe in the difference that your products or services make. That's a hard one. So step number 1 is create a raving fan with every interaction. Foundation number 2, do the common things uncommonly well. Foundation number 3, believe in the difference that you make and your products and services make. Number 4 is consistency. And this isn't a sexy one. But sales research shows that the number 1 reason people do not buy from you, from me, from the people listening, from Starbucks, from Best Buy, from whomever is lack of trust. Now, what people usually say is, no. My people love me. They love me. I've got all these great people in my community, but they don't want to pay, right? They say they can't afford it. Said with love, you're wrong. That may be what they're telling you. But if your customers knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that your product was going to fill a hole for them, fill a need, and do it in a way that felt good, they would pay for it. Don't care what you're asking. So consistency leads to trust. It is a sales psychology thing that is easy to do. You send your blog out on the same day of the week at the same time. Your podcast comes out at the same time. You have the same format for your podcast. See, those are easy. It's a common thing done uncommonly well. But what happens is you plant seeds in people's brain. I know that I'm going to hear from this person on this time. I can trust them.
And, just to build on that, the really quick, simple thing that you could do and change right now on your website is, if you're listening, is, if you haven't blogged in 6 months and it says a date that is in the way, way, way past, what that is psychologically telling people is oh, is she still in business or not? Just simply go into your Squarespace or your WordPress blog and turn off the dates on your blog post. So everything looks evergreen and doesn't have a date specifically, because you don't want to put a shadow of doubt in anybody's mind of ooh, can I trust that she's going to do the thing? Just simple things like that, right? What else can people do to be consistent?
Yeah, what a great idea. Yeah. People are really inconsistent with social media. So they're all in for a launch and they're everywhere.
Yes.
And then they disappear.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't work. So rather than, going all in for a launch, because that's what you see everybody else doing, how about you scale back a little bit and you make it doable for you? If you can't go live every day, then don't go live every day. Can you go live once a month? Can you go live once a week? There's so many ways you can consistently create trust among your audience. Social media is a great one. Branding is a great one. Our web designers out there are going to really understand this, but making your imagery on brand. If your colors are pink and purple, let's don't put a whole bunch of green, red, and orange out.
Yes.
If your font is, I don't know, I'm speaking, whatever, let's don't put a whole bunch of stuff out with a different font. Little things.
Yeah. And also in that, I think investing in some personal branding photos is a wise investment for you, because how you show up online, it just gives you that uniformity, that level of professionalism. Again, not sparking any moment in their minds where they're going, oh, I don't know if I trust her, or, if that business is legit or not. Totally.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. What's the last 2 foundations then?
So the last 2 foundations are, if you feel the ick, find a better way. And so there are people who teach really icky, sleazy, slimy, gross sales tactics.
Yes.
But they work. They work. That's why they have a job. And there are people who will insist that you have to do them that way, but you don't. So if you feel the ick, the sleaze, the slime, the sludge, find a better way. Now, what this doesn't say is don't do it.
Yeah.
So if you feel the ick, the sleaze, the slime, the sludge, don't do it. No, that won't work.
Yeah.
So find a better way. Get creative. Mm-hmm. And then the final one goes hand in hand with that, and that is follow-up is a must. Mm-hmm. And I was speaking one time, and somebody said, "Oh, but Kendrick, you just said that if I feel the ick, don't do it, and follow-up feels icky." And I'm like, that's not what I said. I said, find a better way.
Yeah.
So follow-up is statistically proven to double your business. If you only do one thing I say to do, learn how to follow up. It is statistically proven to double your business. Do it. Figure out how to do it and do it.
So Kendrick, I hear my girls, people listening are whispering into my ear right now, and they're going, "Ooh, but I don't wanna. It's scary. What if they say no? What if they think I'm annoying? What if they think I'm pushy?" Like, how do you get past that little whisper in your ear that says, "Oh, maybe we'll just scroll on Facebook a little bit longer and not follow up"?
Yeah, so the first thing is it's really a mindset shift about selling in general. So the definition, the black and white definition of selling is the exchange of money for a product or service. There's nothing icky, sleazy, slimy, gross about it. I've got money, you've got a product, we're going to exchange, right? In no way is that icky, sleazy, slimy, or gross.
Yes.
So the thing that really makes this even more powerful, though, is I teach people to say selling is helping. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter that you're getting paid for it. Helping people and getting paid are not mutually exclusive. You can do both.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a mindset shift. And I tell people to get a sticky note and write selling is helping and put it in their workspace. Put it on their computer, put it by their keyboard. And remember, you are here. Your product, your service can change somebody's life, health, business, weight, wedding, whatever. If you don't follow up, they're going to stay stuck. They're going to stay hurting. They may not have the experience of their dreams. And so selling is helping. That's the first thing with follow-up, is just committing to, I'm going to do it from a place that is helping. Mm-hmm. The main thing here is when you sit down to write the follow-up, forget being annoying. Forget it. Like, I'm not annoying. I'm going to put words on a paper that are genuinely helping. Hey, Mary, you crossed my mind today, and I wondered how you were doing. I know the last time we spoke, you wanted to XYZ. Let me know how it's going with that. I genuinely want to know. Mm-hmm. Wishing you well, Kendrick. There's nothing gross about that. Mm-hmm. There's nothing gross about that.
You're just a human. You are literally just checking in with people. And I think that's it. I think a lot of people that have reached out to me have felt like, oh, I don't know if I really want to step into the spotlight of my business or my brand. I kind of just want to do my thing. Like if I'm a graphic designer, I just like the doing the thing part. I don't actually like the selling what I have to do. You know, can't clients just roll right into my office, Kendrick? Come on. You know, reality is no. I mean, if you don't sell, it's a hobby, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You don't have to do it. You can pay somebody to do it.
It's true.
But somebody has to sell, and it's not just in our businesses. Mm-hmm. So let's think about politics. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, independent, I don't care. It does not matter. But if you look back through history, so let's look at Barack Obama for a minute. Barack Obama, when he decided he was going to run for senator of Illinois, he started at the top of the state, and he went into every small town, and he shook people's hands, and he said, "Hi, my name's Barack Obama. I want to be, your junior senator. What issues can I take to Washington for you?"
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's selling, right? If he'd have stayed behind his desk and not put himself out there, he would not have won. He would not have been senator. He would not have been president of the United States because people wouldn't have known about him.
Yeah.
And that's true for all politicians. That's just one example. Yeah. You get out among your people in some way, or you have somebody do it for you. And in our businesses, we can have somebody do it for us. Mm-hmm. I train people, businesses, salespeople all the time for people that don't want to be the face of their business. But somebody has to be out there. Mm-hmm. You have to prospect and engage and close the deal somehow, some way, or your business doesn't make money. If selling is the exchange of money for a product or service, if you're not selling, you can be the best marketer in the world. You can have the best website. You can be the kindest, most caring person in the world, but your business is broke.
Yeah,
period.
That's true. You can just drop the mic right now. Boom. It's the truth. So let's talk through that. So prospecting, then what's the next step after that?
So 7 steps in selling. Number 1 is prospecting.
Yep.
And that is just going out and saying to people, hey, I'm here.
Yep.
I'm here. I can help, basically.
Yep.
Step number 2 is engagement. And most business coaches that I have found miss these 2 steps. They're crucial. Prospecting and engagement. Fortune 500 companies have entire prospecting departments.
Yes.
It's so crucial.
Yeah.
Number 3 is, what's the problem? Like, let's speak the customer's language. Let's show the customer that we understand what they're going through. Step number 4 is present the solution. So it's really important to notice that we have not talked about our product or service until step number 4. There's a whole lot that happens before you say, do you want to buy from me?
Right.
Number 1 is prospecting. Number 2 is engagement. Number 3 is what's the problem. Number 4 is present the solution. Number 5 is overcome objections and close the deal. People are going to have objections. They're going to have questions. Number 6 is over deliver. And number 7 is testimonials.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about specifically overcoming the objections. Let's zoom into that one in particular, because I think maybe that is also part of the mindset shift there of like being too afraid to hear the word no when people come and say, you put your thing out there and they say, nope, not interested, or no, maybe later, or they say, oh, I need to talk to my husband, or, any of the ones that you've heard, right? So can you give us a couple of objections that are universal and how to overcome them?
Absolutely. The most common one that we all hear is I can't afford it, right? And there are a lot of things to say about this, but the first thing is 9.9 times out of 10 in the civilized world, they can't afford it. And lots of times people will push back and say, you don't know people's finances. That's exactly right. I don't, and you don't either. So we pay $1,000 for cell phones.
Yep.
We got multiple TVs in our house. We've got multiple computers in our house. People pay for what they value, and it's true. So, and I could debate this until we're blue in the face, but here is essentially what you're doing. When you get into somebody's finances, so let's say that you hear all the time, my people can't afford it. I just have freebie seekers. Nobody can pay for my stuff, and I'm really frustrated. Here's the reality. It's not your job to be involved in their finances. So I had a heart doctor one time that I called on. I called on a cardiologist, and there were 2 products. My product was more expensive, and it was statistically proven to save lives. And I don't care what you think about drugs, and I don't care. It doesn't matter. But the analogy is important. Statistically proven to save lives over the competition.
Yeah.
But he wasn't writing my heart drug. And so I said, Dr. X, what's going on here? He's like, I write your product all the time. Well, that was a lie. He didn't. And so I said, okay, great, Dr. X. Let me ask you a really hard question. If your wife had a heart attack tomorrow, God forbid, which drug would you put her on? He said, I'd put her on yours. Well, why is that, Dr. X? Because your drug is statistically proven to extend people's lives over the competition. I said, great. So let's have a real conversation, because the samples aren't going off the shelf. And I can tell what you write. So why are you not writing it for your customers? And he said to me, my customers can't afford it.
And so how did you overcome it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had been practicing medicine forever. He was in an indigent area, and this is what he believed about his customers. But he doesn't need to overcome that. It is his job as the physician to present the best option, right? I don't want my physician sizing me up saying she can't afford it. I'm not going to give her the best drug. And so I said, Dr. X, great. So you believe in the difference that my drug makes. Yes, great. Then you write it for your customers. And if they come back and can't afford it, I'll give them samples. That's how we overcame that. Same thing here. You got to get out of your customers' finances. I don't want you in my finances. If somebody says they can't afford it, it does not necessarily mean they can't afford it. It means that they don't see the life-changing benefits of what you're offering. You got to get out of people's money. It's not your job. It's not your job to tell them how to make the extra money so they can afford it. It's not your job to tell them how to talk to their spouse about it. That is icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, in my opinion. It is your job to present the benefits of your products and let them make an informed decision, because they're adults. And so when somebody says, I can't afford it, here's exactly what you say. Thank you so much for sharing that with me, Mary. I understand what it's like to see a service that could change your business forever and feel like you can't afford it. Step 1 and 2 are thank you for sharing that with me. I understand. It's statistically proven to calm the tension. Because usually what happens is I can't afford it. Well, if you took this seriously, if you really wanted to change, then you would put your money where your mouth is. Gross.
Yeah.
So people are expecting that. Does that make sense?
Right. Totally. Yeah. And it's a different approach.
It is. And so then there's 7 tools for overcoming objections that I teach. I'll give you one here, okay? Because it would take an hour to teach all of them. But steps 1 and 2 are universal. Thank you for sharing that with me. I understand how it feels. Feel is important. Not I understand the product is too expensive. I understand how it feels to see a product or service that can change your life, your health, your business, your weight, and not be able to feel like you can't afford it.
Yeah.
And this is called discounting it, and it doesn't mean what you think it is. So, past customers have have shared with me that they have felt the same way when I initially shared the investment. They felt like they couldn't afford it. What those same customers will tell you on the other side of that investment is working with such and such web design allowed them to close more business, get more customers, and make more money because they had a website that was focused on customer experience. That's an example. Yeah. What you're doing here is you're basically saying, I see your objection and I honor it. Mm-hmm. And I lovingly know that other people have had the same objection and have found a way. And it has been one of the best decisions they've ever made because this product or service did bam, 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 exactly what they want it to do. Mm-hmm. So when you're ready, I would recommend that you reach out to someone, even if it's not me, and get your website professionally designed. There's an example. Now that may feel icky, and if it feels icky, then we can find a way to soften it. But thank you for sharing that with me. I understand how it feels are your first 2 steps. And then you insert one of those tools for overcoming objections.
Yeah. And it's approaching people with their own words and meeting them where they are, acknowledging what they're saying, and then showing them the results that other clients in their same boots have had by working with you. I mean, that's bottom line. And I think it's sometimes interesting. I can say this because I've been in business for 15 years and I've been through a lot of it myself of like, you just get in the hamster wheel of doing the business. You get so busy that you don't stop and get off the hamster wheel and actually think about these things and think about what objections you might be hitting. So when they come at you, you're kind of blindsided. You're like, I don't know what to say. So it's taking that time to like work on your business as well as in your business, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And I can say that, at least based on the last 7 to 8 years, I know that all businesses are going to hear over and over and over, I can't afford it. I need to think about it. I need to talk about it with my spouse. And so rather than making that mean something about us, we didn't do a good job. Nobody wants my stuff. Why not? Okay, this person is at 100% bought in on the value that this delivers. And I want people who are 100% bought in. And so I'm going to I'm going to put on my inspector hat and I'm going to ask some questions and I'm going to follow up 2 weeks later and I'm going to check in and I'm going to find out what's missing so that they feel great when they hand me their credit card. Yeah. They feel great when they invest with us. But it's being present enough to have that mindset rather than in the hamster wheel like you talked about.
Mm-hmm. And living in scarcity or fear or rejection, all of that. Yeah. So do you think there are nuances for those who sell as like an online business versus those who have a brick and mortar kind of business? Is there nuances or are they the same principles apply?
They're 100% the same principles with nuances. So the foundations are the same. Selling is selling. It's like when I read all those books and I'm like, I know that. But I mean, you're prospecting and engaging, for example. That's a little bit different when you have a brick and mortar and you're going out into the community. Mm-hmm. Prospecting and engaging is a lot easier for an online business. People, have a love-hate relationship with social media. Mm-hmm. I don't like Facebook. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of whatever. Well, what I say to that is Facebook is the alternative to this cold calling, which sucks, by the way. Yeah. All of a sudden, Facebook is amazing. Same thing with brick and mortar. You have to go out among your people and be seen. And so prospecting and engaging can be a little bit different. Obviously, you can have big events that draw people in, but the foundations, they're the same.
Mm-hmm. And Kendrick, I feel like I could talk to you for hours, but sadly we have to wrap up. You are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to sales, and I really appreciate your approach to it because, again, it truly does feel authentic. It doesn't feel skeezy. It feels true to you. So I want to remind our listeners, make sure to click in the show notes to check all the things out for Kendrick. But you hang out mostly on Facebook. Is that where we can find you online?
Yeah, Facebook. I'm dipping my toe in the Instagram ocean. I'm trying to figure it out. Ugh. But yeah, mostly on Facebook.
Excellent.
In the authentic selling community, I coach free in there all the time.
Fantastic. So that's facebook.com/authentic selling. And then her website is kendrickshope.com. And I'm told, Kendrick, that you are also giving us a little freebie for our listeners that we'll put the link in the show notes for people to double your email open rate. You can get access to the 5 most frequently opened headlines. So we'll put that link down there so people can check that out as well, because email marketing really is a whole other level to marketing your business, right?
It is. The good news about this is these email headlines, email subjects have been tested. They are proven to work. And we have people download the freebie or come through sales school and they're like, oh my gosh, my opt-in rate went up 30%, my open rate. Because if you don't sell them from the headline, it doesn't matter how good the email is. So they work. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, go back to the episode that we did with Jenny Shee to learn more about building your email list. And I'll put that link in the show notes for people as well. So Kendrick, I have a couple of questions I like to ask all of our guests. One is, what is one book or maybe blog that you're reading these days that's either inspiring you or maybe poking holes and challenging you a bit right now?
Yeah, so I just finished Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Do you know this book?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It hurt my head in so many good ways. I loved it. I was listening to it and ended up having to go pick up the hard copy because there was so much there. But it really is, I'm not a great meditator. And it really blew my brain up in a good way about the power of meditation. And you know, we know the power of positive thinking and getting rid of your limiting beliefs, but this took it to a whole nother level. So it definitely is one that I would recommend.
That's a good one, definitely. So tell us, who's one person maybe in your circle of friends or network or colleagues that you know that you think we should interview on the Simplifiers podcast, and why? Somebody up to brilliant stuff in their sector of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a woman named Andra, and I'll make the introduction for you, but she created the kindness campaign. And it's different from business building, but I'll tell you why it's so amazing. Andra had this idea after a friend of her child's committed suicide, and she created this kindness campaign in Texas, and they go into schools and they really are feeding joy and light and positive image into children, and it works. They have this talking magic mirror that kids can look at themselves in. Lady Gaga got on board with it and picked it up from social media. What she is doing for children it gives me chills. And so I would say if you're looking for an uplifting episode, it's not as much business related, but it really shows the power of, I have an idea. I want to change the world, and here's how you do it.
Yeah, I love it. She sounds perfect. So we'll definitely have her on the podcast soon. My belief is that gratitude and simplicity go hand in hand. Tell us, what's one thing you're grateful for right now in your life?
Oh my gosh. I am immensely grateful for the opportunity to do what I love every day. And that sounds cliche, but you know, it's not lost on me that I get to pick my daughter up almost every day, that I get to turn work off from 2 to 4, 2 to 5, 2 to 6 and be with her. I'll never stop being grateful for that.
And I am internally grateful for you and how you show up in the world, because I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. I think what you're doing is bringing a whole new light into this aspect of that's incredibly important for running a small business. So I acknowledge you and just want to take a moment and say, wow, like, keep doing what you're doing, because you are on the right path, 100%.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So before we wrap up, I have one final question for you, Kendrick. And again, reminder to everybody that's listening, go check out her podcast and click the links in the show notes to learn more about Kendrick and what she's doing out in the world and how she can help you in your small business. But Kendrick, my final question is this. Somebody somewhere is listening to this episode right now and she's really fired up. She's excited about what you're talking about and going, oh, right, sales is not this big scary thing that I used to think it is. Maybe this is something I could actually do for my small business. But she's still a little bit nervous and could use an encouraging word. What's one thing you could whisper into her ear right now just to encourage her in this moment?
Yeah, first of all, honor that, feel that, and then tell it to get the heck out of the way. So I believe that in my life, I have created whatever level of success that is because I fell down 99 times and I got up 100. And it is that determination. I always say I'm determined like a cockroach. I'm impossible to kill. It doesn't mean that I won't be down and out. It doesn't mean that you won't be down and out. And even though we haven't met, I believe in you and I believe in your business. If I can do it, you can. Go do it.
Kendrick, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. This was amazing. I could talk to you forever.